gonna flop. Our minds about to pop. But enough of that noise. Time for the B-roll, boys.
Welcome back to B-roll, boys. This week we are watching Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines from 2003, directed by Jonathan Mostow. I'm Justin, and I'm joined by Wes.
What's up?
And Harlan.
Hi.
And yeah, as the name implies, it's the sequel to Terminators 1 and 2, which are great movies, and I love both of those. Both of those probably sit comfortably in my top 20. Terminator 1 sits in my top 10. And then this one is the beginning of the rest of them sucking major ass.
Why does the third movie...
franchise... Yeah. This franchise really took a dive, you know? And it just has not come back. Like, it's one of those that's like... People talk about this franchise like it's so great, but if you look at like the batting average, it's like it's really not. Like the good ones are more like the exception.
Well, you've got like 2 classics and then 4 shitty ones.
Yeah.
They really should have just stopped with this one. I wish it was the nail in the coffin. They're just like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. But then like every 5 years, like, you know, we can revive it.
Yeah, let's give it one more shot.
And they retcon different like areas of the story. Because the reason that this is such a travesty to me, even as opposed to the other ones, because the other ones were just a continuation of this, where this was the first one where they erase a major portion of the last movie to make this one exist. So 1 and 2 had a really self-contained story of, okay, they destroyed Skynet and they, you know, stopped Judgment Day and everything. But this, and, you know, the whole idea of 2 is that you can change the future and the future's not set and there's no fate but what you make for yourself. But in this one, it's like, no, Judgment Day is inevitable. And they don't really have a reason for that outside of, well, it was going to happen, I guess, anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
we need to milk this franchise.
Into a nuclear holocaust? You ever just...
Yeah, it starts with the message of changing fate, and then the last movie in the series is literally about you can't escape fate. It's like a complete 180.
Yeah.
Is that just the trends? Like every third movie in a franchise just sucks unless you're Return of the King.
Well, because at least that was based on 3 books that were all written at once. All 3 Lord of the Rings movies were filmed at once, and they were pretty much all released at once because, you know, year to year is movie speak for, okay, we filmed a bunch of these in one go and then just backlogged them to release in sequence. But yeah, this one, I mean, they didn't give a shit about this. This was, what, 12 years after T2?
Jesus. Really?
Yeah, and James Cameron basically had nothing to do with this one, right?
Not that I can see. He didn't even have a producer credit.
Good. Just stay. He was probably under the ocean or something.
He was probably midway through his sorting through his cash pile from Titanic to sorting his future cash pile for Avatar.
Yeah. He was like 400 pages into Avatar.
He was doing all of his weird shit. But yeah, so this picks up where I guess to summarize for anyone that has not watched the last 2 Terminator movies, you should. Holy shit. Yeah. Those are like sci-fi classics. Unironically, those are some of my favorite movies, like I said.
For real,
but the essential gist of it is that it's an apocalyptic scenario where machines are at war with humans, and there's one particular leader of the human resistance named John Connor, and the machines will send these assassin cyborgs back and called Terminators. They look like real people, and they'll basically send them back through time to kill. First, in the first movie, they go back to kill his mother, Sarah Connor, and then the second movie, they try to kill him when he's a little kid. In this one, he's I guess a Xanax dealer. It looks like he's probably between 25 and 30 years old. He looks like shit.
He deals in horse tranks.
Yeah, he says he's living off the grid, but he's working construction. I guess that means he's working for cash, but I'm like, don't you have to have some kind of documentation if you have any sort of like taxable job?
Skynet's basically 5G. He's trying to stay far away from it.
I mean, I guess it could be like an under the table sort of deal, so fair enough. But still, it just seems a little bit weird. Like, I live off the grid, and it's like, if you're going to live off the grid, then sell drugs. Like, that's all you need to do. That's the ultimate
Seems-
living off the grid job, not laying brick.
Well, he should
Seems
have
way
got
more
high on his own
profitable.
supply.
What was?
He shouldn't have got high on his own supply.
Well, I think. Well, it looked like he fucked up his leg, so he just he goes to
Yeah, is he,
a
like-
what?
Sorry, is he like? Yeah, he's like in a vet's office, and he's like downing some sort of a something for dogs. Was it? I don't remember.
He's got painkillers because he fucked up his leg and he needed. He couldn't go to a hospital or like a normal urgent care office.
Because he's
that's what
not
he
on
tells-
the grid, man.
That's what he tells. What's her? Catherine Booster. But
Godwin Booster.
yeah, so in the first movie, it's just Arnold that's sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor. And in the second one, Arnold is sent back to protect John Connor from the liquid metal Terminator. And this one, it's this female Terminator that is it's implied to be a Terminator killer. I don't really know why Skynet is preemptively creating Terminator killers when they're exclusively creating Terminators, because
Because of
isn't
human resistance, they're starting to program the whole T-1000 line because they have a security breach, right, where they're easily hackable and they can just send them back. So Skynet had to make Terminators to deal with the humans.
they can hack all of them?
Well, they sure do it pretty easy. They did it like 3 movies in a row. Well, 2
Yeah, but
movies,
they did
I
with
guess.
like one. There's never a point where they're just like, yeah, we're gonna send 8 Arnie's back. Although that would have
Well,
been more interesting if
that
they
would be
had like a
great.
regiment of
Yeah.
Arnie's. I
Have
would
you
have liked
seen
that
Dark
way more
Fate?
than this. No, I haven't seen Dark Fate.
Watch Dark Fate and then
Oh,
get
great.
back with me on that.
I would say it's a spoiler, but I don't care, because if you're watching Dark Fate for the plot, you're wrong. I watched Genesis and it was steaming horseshit, and I'm not watching any more of these fucking movies.
Terminator 3 has a much darker fate than Dark Fate did, ironically.
I mean, you know who else had a dark fate? Nick Stahl. Playing
Technology
John
bad.
Connor in this movie. Looks like he kind of looks like how Jake Lloyd looks now.
And he drinks Budweiser.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Drops off a
who
bridge.
else had a dark fate? Sarah Connor.
Who's that?
But we didn't get to see that. That was off screen.
Yeah, that's like the biggest travesty of this movie. It's like one of the best hard asses in action movies I've ever seen, and she dies off screen from leukemia. Fuck off. That is the
Yeah.
most contrived shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
to
it's
me,
like if
it-
Ridley from Alien died of skin cancer.
Yeah, to me, it's not the leukemia thing. It's just the off-screen thing. You know, like I can roll with her having leukemia because I mean, yeah, like that can happen to anyone. But like fucking off-screen, why does that need to happen off-screen? You know, well, we'll get.
Yeah, but it's a movie and it's Sarah Connor. You know what? I want her to be killed in a fucking bank robbery. Like, that's what I want Sarah Connor to go out in some like really extravagant way. Not retconned with leukemia. Like, how long is it supposed to be? Like 6 or 7 years after the fact?
in a perfect world.
Is it literally
What?
supposed to be in 2003?
I'm
I
not
was
sure if it's
confused about that.
supposed to be set, but like I think it's supposed to be present day, or you
Yeah.
know, mid Bush administration present day. And so the entire movie is like desaturated, and it's just very ugly to look at. We've got
Yeah,
a lot
okay,
of
can we go ahead and
2003
talk about
CGI isms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I'd really.
'Cause that's one of the
espe-
cardinal
es-
sins.
especially in the scenes that take place outside. God, this movie is so toned down visually. Like it's so desaturated, and it looks like I can't think of the word. It's like it's very muted, you know, and it almost looks like they're trying to convince you that the scene takes place during you know like night, or at least close to the nighttime. But I mean, that's not the case. You just know based on the context of what's happening that's not the case. It's in fact like middle of the day at the latest, and yet
It's
it's super fucking dark. It looks like everything is under a shady oak tree. I hate
I mean
it.
that's a common
It was-
thing
it was
for
Yeah, you're right. It is, but
like
nonetheless,
for
it was pissing me
2000s
off.
movies. Like I'm thinking of like Book of Eli, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean all of the Lord of the Rings movies are, or at least the last two, are pretty desaturated. Like Black Hawk Down, War of the
didn't help
Worlds came
that-
out like a couple of years after this, and they were all kind of had the same.
Well, sometimes
sort
it
of
can be
look.
fine if like the background and everything's gloomy already. Like War of the Worlds, it kind of works for it.
Oh yeah,
But
I
the
love
movie
War of the
like
Worlds.
this
Yeah.
is kind of like a perfect metaphor for the movie. Like it's soulless. Like all the color is just like lifeless and gray. It's just a cookie cutter action movie with a Terminator skin thrown over it.
Well, to me, it was
Yeah,
just
more or
super
less. I mean,
it's just
It's the
disorienting
exact
because
same movie as the second one.
to me it was just super disorienting because it felt like it was only the shots that were done like outdoors. Like there was that like what felt like a 15-minute car chase towards the beginning of the movie where like it'd show the cars from somewhere outside, and then it would cut to a close-up of someone inside the car, and it felt like it was like like normal, like there was like a this big shift in like the saturation, but then you cut back to it outside and suddenly everything's very muted. There was like, it didn't feel like there was any consistency to it, and it kind of
Well,
gave
it's
me a
probably
headache.
because they just put. Yes, probably because they just put like the filter over the entire movie and not
Yeah.
like scene by scene. So like the ones outside were just way out of place compared to the inside ones. But I don't know.
And yeah, can we talk about
make
that? Can we talk about that car chase? Like
All
early
like
on in the
3
movie.
years of it.
Yeah, it goes on forever, and it kind of has that same problem that Jupiter Ascending had earlier in its chase, where it just kind of goes on for so long that you just kind of become like bored
Numb
with
to
it,
it.
and you're numb to it. You're just like, all right, I get it. They're being chased,
'cause
and it's just so over the top. Like this, the TX is like destroying so much shit with like the crane that's on top of her truck and just like sideswiping all these cars.
Yeah, like
And
that just makes it worse. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't add anything to it. It
Exactly,
makes the
yeah,
long ass car scene just drag out with just totally uninteresting.
Yeah, it felt like derby racing porn, because there were just so many cars being smashed up over for such a long amount of time. I was like, all right, I don't care anymore. Like, this isn't interesting. It's not even exciting, in like an action set piece sense. It's just like, all right, I get it. Can this please be over already? Can we move on?
Like the TX is chasing John Connor down the street, and they're both on opposite sides of the street. The TX is driving like a crane, but she has it like pulled out sideways, so it's just constantly taking out cars, which it's just like a chain explosion, like she's playing GTA or something. Like cars aren't going to get blown up from getting hit by a crane grappling hook thing.
Yeah, there's so
But
many
yeah.
explosions in this.
It's
Like,
just they're just driving down the street and just one explosion after another, and somehow they make that as unexciting as possible.
the thing is, they start out with that. Like, if you think about the other two movies, the over-the-top action, as far as the explosions and the cheesy 80s isms, those don't really start until. Well, I guess with T2 that's not true, because T2 there's a lot of explosions early on. But I don't know. I just felt like that was paced a lot better. Probably
Yeah.
because it had a more competent director, and James Cameron's actually good. But I mean, the first one especially, like it doesn't really go down to explosion level until the last 30 minutes or so, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but it feels like this movie's a little too eager to like grab your attention, and it doesn't really work. Speaking of the explosions, like the first one, can we talk about that? The TX is getting ready to kill. What was the female lead's name? Kristen Brewster, Kate Brewster.
Kate.
Yeah, it's like the TX is getting ready to kill her, and like she's on the ground, and the TX is standing above her, and Arnie rolls in with the truck, and like because he came over a hill, and got some air, the truck like bounces a little bit, so he manages to like only run over the TX, even though the TX is standing above her. It was just the weirdest thing to see this car drive over them and only injure one of the people. And then there's a giant fucking explosion for some reason. I mean, they were at an animal hospital that exploded for some reason.
Like, I guess they just had a bunch of propane tanks sitting back there,
Yeah,
like waiting to
guess.
explode like a fucking video game. That's kind of what this felt like. This felt like a video game.
Yeah, it reminded me of
bad
GTA
video.
a lot.
As they reminded me of an early 2000s video game, specifically
Well, in
Grand Theft
many
Auto
ways
3.
it was. Yeah, it's like they just
Especially
took
when
every single mid 2000s action movie and GTA and just smashed it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like there's a lot of like, I don't know. It kind of lifts a lot of beats from 2, especially like the stupid ass thing where John Connor makes him not kill anybody. That's probably one of the reasons that I like 1 more than 2, is because 1 feels more like, I don't know, a little bit grittier for a balls out like 80s action movie or 80s
definitely.
like slasher horror movie. And the second one, you've got this stupid little kid that's like, hey man, you're not gonna be killing anybody. And you're like, oh, okay, we're not gonna. We don't get to see Arnie pull another heart out of someone's chest like in the first one.
No, that honor goes to
the
the
first
TX
one was art.
later on.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing sequence. She's disguised herself as the female lead, Catherine Brewster, her fiance, and he looks like the guy from Smallville, but he's not the main guy. And
Yeah, a little bit.
and you know the TX, that's what the new Terminator's name is. She can do the same T-1000 thing where she disguises herself as somebody else, and so of course she just got like this. You know, this guy's like got this doe-eyed look, like, huh? My
Yeah.
fiance's gone? That's weird. And he's just hitching a ride with the cops, and then just. And then there's a part where she's in the back seat and she reaches through the dude's chest and just starts driving like that.
Yeah,
that
and
was
like,
pretty
I have to
cool.
admit that's kind of awesome.
well, like,
Man,
yeah,
of
she
course
like
she's a backseat driver.
she impales him and like starts driving the car with her hand through his torso. But I want to know how she was controlling the pedals, because she
Who
only
cares? It's fun.
Well,
she only
she
stuck her
already
hand
had the
through.
extendo arm, so she probably like, I don't know, stretched her
slipped her
legs
feet
under
under
the
the car.
seat. And yeah, I would
I
love
guess.
to see like how that looks from the side. And
Yeah.
she's just like sitting in the back, and her legs are just like 8 feet long, just like working the pedals from under the seat.
I also
Or
want
no,
to
she
talk
just
about.
puts her. She can
Sorry,
put
go
her
ahead.
feet like through the bottom of the car, and just have them like running like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Just imagine the cartoon sound effect over that.
I do want
That's
to talk
another
about.
thing.
I kind of want to make an edit of that now, just like that same thing, but with the Flintstones running sound effects.
Let's try to get away. Like, I'm honestly surprised they didn't have anything like that. Like, this movie is the king of fucking overused sound effects. I noticed like 4 different ones
The
throughout
sound
the whole
design
movie.
in this
that just-
movie was really not good.
like, there's one scene she goes to murder somebody, you can just hear a chainsaw, and it's the same chainsaw sound effect you've heard a million times. Like, whenever she does like certain like, you know, techno babble shit, you can hear like this screaming beast noise in the background. You've heard that too. And like near the end, when they're going into this like fresh government shelter, they open the door and it's like the loudest Rusty Gate #1 sound I've ever heard. Like, I'm pretty sure every single movie we've watched on this podcast has had that sound effect in.
Yes, and some of them not just being like, you know, very like obviously stock sound effects. Some of them just didn't match at all what we were saying. Like, I remember there was one during the chase where like some car I think hits like a little bouncy house, and the bouncy house like flies into the road and then hits the ground, and it makes like a plunk sound that sounds more like a plastic ball hitting the ground. You know, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't sound like an inflatable house landed. You know, because that just wouldn't make too much sound. You know,
It's like the
very
sound
hard.
designers. Yeah, the sound designers got like Sony's disc from 1999 and just put every stock sound effect from disc 1 into it. And they're like, that's the soundtrack. I'm surprised the dolphin noise wasn't in there somewhere.
I mean, the Rusty Gate thing, I was like, man, which Alone in the Dark game did they lift this from?
I have never heard that particular sound effect so far in the foreground. Because normally only nerds like us notice that sound effect, but this one I feel like anybody could, because it was just right there.
Hey, we didn't have a Wilhelm scream, though. That's like the king of overused sound effects.
Yeah, I was
Unfortunately
looking
not.
for it, but they had so many other ones that I guess they didn't need to use it. 'Cause you can't really make it. The TX, as they were dying, just had the Wilhelm scream.
Oh, that would have been great. Can we talk about
Jesus Christ.
how funny this movie tries to be? Like, it's got a lot of jokes in it.
See,
I think that's
yeah, like,
another
most of
actual
them-
funny moments.
Most of them do not work. Like,
that's the thing. It's like a pre-Marvel formula. It's like there's an action beat every 10 pages, then every 5 pages they try to throw in a joke, but like over half the time it doesn't land, and you're just like, oh my god.
Well, it's a weird cross between like the normal Arnie-isms of having these lame one-liners, which, like, look, you can't do that shit in 2003, man. This isn't Commando anymore. This isn't Commando or Predator. That shtick has long been dead and gone by the time this movie came out. And they also tried to throw in like a couple, like, I don't know, pop culture almost references. Like, when's the last time that you heard someone say "talk to the hand"? Because that's a joke that's front and center in this fucking movie.
And they say that like 3
that was
times.
so weird.
It's just so awkward.
And I mean, I guess the parts that were legitimately funny to me were just any of the interactions that John and Kate have with the Terminator.
Yeah, when there's that slight like there was that scene where he yells at Kate to relax. He's just like, relax, and then his face just completely drops. That was probably like the only time that I like genuinely thought it was funny.
That was legitimately funny. Yeah.
Or John and Kate are sitting in the back of this pickup truck, and she's just kind of like, what the hell is going on here? And John just knocks on the side of the truck, and he's like, hey, Terminator, tell her who I am. John Connor is the leader of the human resistance. And then he just kind of closed the door. He's like, yeah, pretty much.
Hey, that me.
Like, those parts I thought were funny, but the canned,
Those are the exception.
Yeah, like the talk to the hand thing, that was pretty lame. Or when there's at this point, it's not even classic, it's an overused trope at this point, where the naked Terminator walks into it's always like a bar or a club or something with like these scuzzy people. I guess it's a male strip club. And so this dude that
It was no,
dude
it was
for
a
some
it was a
reason
bar,
reminds
but
me
it was
of Prince.
it was specifically
Huh?
ladies' night at a bar.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
they had a sign.
I mean, for some reason, the guy reminded me of Prince, and then he, and Arnie just waltzes in there naked, and he's like, "Take off your clothes now," and somehow this little puny guy has clothes that can fit on Arnold.
Yeah, and of course
That's
there's
the
the
thing
joke
that
where
doesn't make sense about any of these movies. He always finds like these skinny dweebs to lift the clothes from. It's like, okay, do you have any like XXX shirts for Arnold?
And of course,
It's
yeah,
so
they
weird,
like
like-
really like lay into the joke where it's like, aha, he walked in naked on ladies' night, and they think he's a stripper. Haha. Do you get it? And the joke just kind of goes on for like 3 minutes.
Well,
and then he
another
comes
instance
out and
of,
he's
like-
got the star sunglasses.
Yeah,
I'm like,
haha, it's
okay.
so funny. It's just another instance of like, oh, we did this in Terminator 2, so people will like it in this one because they like Terminator. Like, that's the only reason this is a Terminator movie.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to like, A, you've done this before, and I guess it's a novelty in the second movie because you hadn't done that yet. Mm-hmm. But by this point, we are 12 years removed from T2.
Jesus.
This is a post 9/11 world. You can't have the bad with the bone or bad to the bone sequence again.
Yeah, exactly. Those times are over. Like this movie was like 5 awkwardly forced jokes away from being a scary movie parody of itself.
It really did
Like
feel like
that's
that
just
for some
just like
reason.
the tone of the whole movie.
Yeah. It just needed like like some more toilet humor, and then I would have had it.
Oh,
Yeah, if the
dude, if
Terminator
we had
pissed and
like a
shitted.
poop joke, that's
It would
what
be over.
triples your box office. I mean, this movie made like $400 million. You want to make $800 million? You
Really?
throw in some poop jokes. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, dude. This is distributed by Warner Brothers. Like, Jesus Christ, this was going to make money.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, put it in the cookie cutter. Get out that action movie, folks.
Yeah, not much to it, honestly. You had a point
Were you
though,
guys
Harlan.
intimidated by the TX at all?
I wanted her to step on me.
I was about to
Those
say, like,
stilettos.
this is going to sound bad because this is the first female Terminator that we have, but there was a very porn quality of acting that she had. Like, I can't imagine. I don't personally think that the Terminator mannerisms are really that hard to copy. But she does it, and everything that she does, and I'm sure this was very intentional, has a very like suggestive kind of quality to it. And I mean, there's less subtle moments like when her tits get bigger after looking at the billboard, and I was like, okay,
yeah, she gets pulled over by a cop, and okay, so that's the weird thing is like she steals a car and she's like flying down the street, right, and she like hardcore runs a light through an intersection, and this cop stops her. And then yeah, she like makes her boobs get bigger, I guess, to get out of, to get out of the situation with the cop. And I'm like, if you were trying to lay low, why did you like fly through there at 100 miles per hour? And yeah, it's also just really shitty luck that she happened to pick the one gay cop in the city, because yeah, the cop just doesn't give a shit about her tits.
It's like, this will get me out of this ticket, and just pumped her tits up, and then
yeah he just couldn't care less.
I mean,
like,
and that bit only exists so she can get his gun. But the question being, why does she need a gun if she's got a cannon in her arm? She's got a cannon, a buzzsaw, and a flamethrower.
Yeah, she's got that Samus Aran thing going on.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, how many fucking gadgets does she have? She's like R2-D2.
She's like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, she has a gadget for only when like the plot calls for her to need it. It's like, oh, all of a sudden she has a saw because she needs a saw, and like you have no idea what she's actually packing.
Yeah,
like,
it's like the
sometimes it's like
Spy Kids.
Yeah, sometimes it's like an Unreal Tournament plasma cannon, and other times her arm's a saw. And then there was one scene where it turns into a flamethrower, and there's like dragon beast sounds.
Yeah,
and
like
fire,
like
when she's firing it.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
like
literally
it's like
screaming. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know
why
what they were
bother
thinking with the
with
sound
like a
design.
normal gun? I guess they didn't want to spoil right off the bat that she, is she
This
doesn't
isn't
need a
your
gun
dad's
because
Terminator.
Yeah, essentially. I guess they didn't want to spoil that right off the bat, but in that case, like, why even have that sequence with the cop at all? You don't need it. And she
Yeah.
doesn't take his form. She finds someone in a convertible that's in like this full body like rattlesnake suit, or like a snakeskin red
It's like
suit.
some leather pantsuit kind of.
Oh yeah, like, okay. I guess that's slightly better than snakeskin, but the point is it's really gaudy and it looks really awkward.
I also
for
like
sure.
that. Sorry, I was just gonna say I like that when she first came to the past/present, her hair was like, just she was naked, her hair was down, and it was like really like wavy. And then yeah, she like steals the lady's clothes in her car, and then her hair is like completely like straight and in a ponytail or a bun, which I guess a TX could do that, but
Yeah, she copied her bun. She has a flamethrower, dude. She can tie her hair up.
yes.
She's got detailed files on human anatomy. She could probably tie a ponytail.
But can she use a curling iron?
I don't know. I didn't write it.
Maybe.
Oh, and like another forced sexual thing. Again, this is like it's like a Black Eyed Peas video, just in the guise of a Terminator movie. She can detect DNA samples, but only if she tastes them. So she'll like put her finger in someone's blood and then just very slowly be like,
Yeah, seductively licking blood on her finger. Then it shows her HUD of it
yeah, she's
analyzing
got
the
her
blood
Master
sample.
Chief HUD. So she's like, nah.
Well, I swear just like 5 minutes after she did that in the movie, she again, there was that other stranger who was at the vet talking to Kate, and she shot her thinking that she was Kate, and she's like, are you Kate? And then she like sticks her finger in her blood and she like licks it, and then she looks at it, and then it shows her HUD and says it's analyzing. And to me that kind of showed like it seemed like she didn't need to taste it to analyze it. I don't know, I thought it was weird.
Yeah, then it implies that she wanted to taste it.
She's
But
into
they
that
should
weird
be able
shit.
to taste, right?
Desire is irrelevant, Wes. Arnie said that.
So, God, this whole movie is it seems like a Terminator fan fiction.
It really
hate it.
is. It gives off so much of that energy.
Technology bad.
We're gonna be Terminator boomers about this. Back in my day, back in fucking 1994, Terminator used to be good. And then 9/11 happened. Now it sucks. Fucking Al Qaeda, they ruined Terminator.
It really did. How does a movie look worse 12 years after its prequel?
Oh yeah, the
Like,
CGI is atrocious, and it's not like they were hurting for a budget. This was 187 million.
Yeah, like she was the same like metal Terminator as from T2, but that one looked better. Like how? I just don't understand.
I think generally it did, but you know what? I did not hate the visual effects in this movie like you guys did. I thought actually some of them looked pretty good for the time.
There were definitely some for me.
There were definitely some bad ones, but I was surprised at how well some of the shots held up.
Yeah, it's like they lost their budget halfway through, because I'll agree some of the stuff did look good, but then you see some of the truck crashes and it looks like they're just unfinished. So it's like they finished half the movie, then half-assed the rest of them, and then just kind of kept it like that.
The time where I most noticed it was in the fight towards the end where
In the bathroom?
when the TX and Arnold are throwing each other around, which again, we did this in T2 already, so why?
That's the worst fight in the whole movie. That entire scene looks
so
horrible.
Drags
mundane.
ass, and we've got some Agent Smith rubberizing going on with some of those. Where like the characters are just contorting a little bit too much, considering they're supposed to be metal, and this is the like effect that we're given.
It's like a 2-minute fight scene in the bathroom, and they're just trading off, slamming each other into stalls and the walls, and that's it.
Yeah, they just take turns like slamming each
And
other,
it
and
looks horrible.
They of course as robots just have blank expressions, so it doesn't feel like either of them is really struggling, and yeah, it's just such a mundane fight. It's like it feels like a formality, you know? It's like, all right, okay.
And that was like one of the things I didn't like about T2 either, is if you just have these two invincible tanks fighting each other, again, completely expressionless, is like it doesn't really work as well for me. I thought that one was a lot more interesting because the person that's sent back to protect Sarah Connor is like a real person, so that makes it a little bit more interesting to me because there's more stakes. But if you just have this like invincible death machine following you around, then it's kind of hard to have that much tension. I guess the tension from T2 is that John Connor's a little kid, so you have to compensate for that. But now he's an adult and he still has that same invincible death machine, and that makes it that much more boring.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. He seems like he's the same age almost. I didn't know your voice could get higher than Edward Furlong's.
Yeah, it's pretty useless.
Like I could tell early on they were trying to have him speak with like an Eddie Furlong affect to him. Like he's got the same kind of smart ass energy in the first half, and then they just kind of drop that and he becomes he becomes nobody.
Okay, so that
like
now's probably
all
a good
fun
time
is gone.
Now's probably a good time to talk about the two leads in this movie. Yeah, they're not good. They're probably my biggest problem with this movie. Yeah, Nick Stahl.
Neither of these two are doing it for me.
Claire, what's her name? Claire, what's her name? Yeah,
Claire Danes.
So
neither of them were good in this movie. Like they're just so like, and they weren't terrible, but like I just didn't feel like they were really showing much emotion at any point. You know, it was very by
They
the
might
numbers.
as well have been Terminators.
Well, the only one that gave a shit was Arnold. Like,
And yeah,
Arnold, I have to say, Arnold did all right for the material he was given. I mean, this is his third time playing this character. He's got it down pat by this point, but like everyone else is just phoning this in. This feels like a TV show.
Arnie did good. Even the comedic stuff with him. I mean, like we said earlier, those were the funniest parts, interacting with the Terminator when he was being funny. So Arnie was actually the best part of it.
Yeah, because he plays it so straight. I mean, as he has to, because that's the epitome of the Terminator's character is playing it straight. But I mean, he does well with that, as opposed to these other, like, Smallville rejects that, you know, they're not doing it for me. This felt very, like, CW channel.
Yeah, it really does feel like an original TV movie.
Actually, yeah, it's a CW version of the Terminator universe, because then you got the T-1000 playing matchmaker up there, because you find out John Connor and the lead actress there are supposed to they're supposed to get down and create the new resistance. And like subtly through the whole thing's like, hey, you two should fuck. Huh?
Yeah, at some point it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, she will marry your child. That was a great Arnie impression.
And he's
She's
just like,
your wife.
and he's just so excited. He's like, really?
He's like, holy fuck, I was homeless like 2 days ago, and now I get to bang this.
I was a
Sweet.
pillhead this morning.
Yeah, I was popping like dog perks, and now I get to be the leader of the human resistance. But there's one dimension of this that I feel the need to talk about. So half the reason that the TX is sent back, it's not just to kill John Connor, but to kill all of his lieutenants. So she goes and she finds them when like they're these lame 20-somethings. So like one of them is a drive-through attendant.
And it's just like, some dude working at Checkers.
It's like, Jose. He's like, what? And then she fucking kills him. I'm like,
she just blows his head off.
Realistically, what role did this guy play in John Connor's military? Is this like the Rommel of the human resistance? Is this fucking dude that's making like $7 an hour at Checkers?
Well, you never know. What if he's putting himself through college? He's like a rocket scientist.
Okay,
Yeah,
but my point being, what use does a 19-year-old kid that doesn't know diddly shit, what use does he have for this resistance? What use do any of these people have? At least John Connor had Sarah Connor to like doomsday prep him for all of this, but like, what's Catherine doing? Oh, I guess she had the dad because she's got a father in the Air Force, which controls Skynet, and she somehow knows how to fly a plane. Okay. It's like, oh yeah, my dad taught me how to fly a plane. Just continuing on the family business.
That reminds me, they also suggest at some point, Kate and John are talking and they're like, yeah, we when we were in middle school, we made out in this kid's basement. And she's like, oh, I only remember it because you were on the news the next day. And then
but
he's
they
like,
bring
wait.
that up like 5 times.
Well, and John's like, wait, so I met Arnie the day after you and I made out, and now he's here when I run into you. And they like suggest that there's some sort of like causation between the two of them meeting and the Terminator showing up, but it's never really explained or explored. It's just there. And I'm like,
oh yeah, that's dumb as shit. I'm like,
yeah, like what does that have to do with anything?
Come on, man. These adults don't give a shit about when they made out in like 7th grade. Who cares?
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
But it's a constant like recurring plot point. It's like Mike Kripke's basement. You hear Mike Kripke's basement like 6 times.
Yeah.
That could be its own spinoff.
I just don't get the
where's
point
Mike Kripke during all this?
What was the point?
Well,
what if he was one of the lieutenants and he's just off screen getting his fucking head blown off?
And the TX didn't kill that many people. She had like a huge list of people, and then she gets fixated on Kate and John. So I guess the other lieutenants, like by the end, it's just those two. They get to that bomb shelter and it's just them. So I guess the other lieutenants just died, and now they're gonna have to go with the resistance.
Well, it showed that other one because, like, after you said the drive-through guy, she went to some kid's house. It was like, hey, are you and your sister home? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
and
some 15-year-old kid.
Like, she just plants like 8 bullets in him. Yeah. She unloads her entire clip. And it's like, holy shit, man. That kid's like 12.
She's a really inefficient killing machine. Contrary to what the film tells you, yeah, she like uses so many bullets to kill this kid at point blank range. It's like you could just put one in his head and be done.
Well, and she pushed him over beforehand. I'm like, why'd you push him? You had a cleaner shot.
It's weird. This robot has a lot of humanity. Like just a fucking savage killing machine.
Yeah, could have just had like an execution style, but no, she had to mosh him to the ground first. And then...
Does that mean intelligence breeds violence? Is that what Terminator's trying to tell us?
Whoa, dude. I don't think so.
It's fucking deep. I don't think
for
this
a
movie's trying to say
T-1000
anything.
robot.
I think this movie existed to make money in a soulless, horrible way.
Well,
And it succeeded.
for a T-1000 robot, it's always out of breath for some reason.
I mean, yeah, like there's not really much else to say about it, to be honest with you. This is just kind of like a soulless, stupid movie, and that banks
I
off
didn't
of
feel
its
too
name
strongly
value.
about it. Yeah, it was just kind of boring. It had like really, it had a lot of issues with pacing. You know, it's that the leads were not good, but I can't like hate this movie. It was like, meh.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just, I guess the only reason to hate it is that it ruins the fucking franchise.
Yeah, that
and
is
just
bad.
creates another fucking timeline.
Yeah, I mean, I
They
hate
should've
what it
just stopped.
represents more than I hate of it just on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
they
in a
just wanted to
vacuum, it's
bank
just
off
like
of
a, like a
Terminator.
mildly stupid movie. But the fact that it took one of my favorite franchises and then set it on the course for this is gonna be garbage from now on for like the next
Set it
20
on the
years.
course for Genesis.
Yeah, it's like a boring action scene, then a stupid shitty joke, and then just it trades off that for an hour and a half, and then it's over. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, puts you to sleep. I mean, what would you guys
It's
give this out of
inevitable.
10?
It's aggressively mediocre, but I still
gonna
don't
give
want
it
to
a
give it a
4.
5. I'm going to give it a 3 because I think I put more notes down of shit that just bothers me, like nitpicky shit, than any other movie we've watched. And I'm not even going to go into half of it. But yeah, I'm going to give her a 3.
I'll give it a 4.
fair.
This is just like this is unremarkable.
Yeah,
But again, it's more what it represents and what it spawned forth after that than
Yeah.
necessarily anything that this movie in itself does.
yeah.
It's like a Sci-Fi Channel movie at the end of the day. Like the robots and
It almost
the original
is, man.
RoboCop and Judge Dredd look better. Like Ed 209 looks way more menacing than the fucking drones in this movie. It's just it's just unremarkable. So which Terminator timeline do you guys subscribe to? Do you go with the T3 route, the Dark Fate route, or the Genesis route?
I have only seen Terminators 1 through 3 now, so I don't know shit
Okay,
about
let's
that.
keep it that way.
I don't subscribe to any of it because in my headcanon, the series cuts off after 2, and then a bunch of hacks just kind of fucked its corpse after that.
That's the correct answer, my friend.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are great, and the rest suck. But I've said that like 4 times now, but that really was like the entire motivation behind me picking this,
Well-
is that I just hate what this represents.
I guess that begs the hardest question of all. What's the best thing about it?
Say something nice.
The Arnie funny parts, like the parts where he's playing it straight and says something like kind of uncomfortable, but in the Terminator way, that I thought was legitimately funny. I fucked with that.
There is one scene that I actually thought was kind of cool looking for like 10 seconds of it. Like at near the end when they're, the big Terminator. No, with the big Terminator battle, the TX gets trapped and she like breaks off her own legs and it's just like crawling towards him. I know it's ripping off the first one, but it's just so cool that it's cool in this one too. And she's making all these fucking beastly screaming noises and just crawling towards Arnie. And
Sounds like a
that's
Bloodborne
actually
boss.
yeah, that's one of the shots that actually looked good. It's like they finished the CG on that scene. So I think it looked good. It sounded good for like 10, 15 seconds. And that was pretty cool.
Great.
Speaking of that scene, so Arnie kills the TX because he like takes like I guess like a battery out of his chest and like shoves it in her mouth and it explodes because he says earlier in the movie that like he just takes one out of his chest because it's damaged and he just chucks it out the car on the highway and then it creates a huge explosion and unsurprisingly it came back. It was reincorporated later. I just thought it was very very heavy-handed reincorporation, but
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really
Yeah,
go
they
into
never-
the plot of this, but basically Judgment Day happens, and It's basically just giving studios in the future the go ahead of like, all right, now go ahead.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Keep
Make
making
all
more
these
movies.
futuristic Terminator movies. Yeah, we've left it open ended now. We didn't tie it up in a neat little bow like the last one. Open
That's
season.
the worst thing of all is leaving it open like that, because their whole reason for this movie's existence is Arnie's one line of saying it's inevitable, it's going to happen. And then so that gives everybody the green light to be like, well, we can create like 50 different timelines and fuck with it because it's time. And no matter if we make a shitty Terminator, we can just make another one to retcon it. And it started this whole clusterfuck of Terminator movies. You know what? We're going to go back. I'm giving it a 2.
Historically.
I'm gonna go back in time. I'm gonna pop out of a little weird sci-fi channel bubble naked and give it a 2.
I will say, I think that the twist at the very end of the movie, because the twist is that like the whole time Arnie is trying to help them to prevent Judgment Day, and he like leads them to a place where they can like shut down Skynet somehow, and then they get there without him because he stayed behind to fight the TX, and they realize, oh, it's a bunker. He brought us here to keep us alive during Judgment Day so that we could survive. And I thought that was a pretty cool twist. I don't know. I mean, like, again, the leads weren't good, so like I didn't really buy their emotions in that moment, and also John and the Terminator just do not really have any sort of emotional chemistry between each other like they did in T2. Like he seems to really not give a shit that this Terminator is sacrificing itself for him. So the emotions definitely fell flat, but I thought it was a cool twist.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you gotta give it to her. It definitely ended.
You guys want to hear some trivia?
Yeah, let's hear some fucking trivia.
I can't wait.
Oh, you sound like you don't want to hear it.
No, I want to hear it. Come on.
I mean, you said beforehand that it was boring trivia, so I'm like a little
No, I said there was a lot
Well,
of boring trivia on the IMDb, but I weeded through some of it.
So he sifted through and he
he
found the gems.
Let's see. The studios had long wanted to make a sequel to the previous Terminator films, but for a long time, Arnold Schwarzenegger refused to do it unless James Cameron was directing. Cameron eventually told his friend to just do it and ask for a shitload of money, reasoning that the character was as much Schwarzenegger's as it was his. He confirmed this in a talk show interview, saying that when he asked, Cameron told him to, quote, take the money and run.
That's
there you go.
Amazing.
Yeah. Do you think T3 funded his governor campaign?
Very possible.
He switched to the Governator pretty quick after this.
Kristana Loken put on 15 pounds of muscle to fit her role of the TX. She also took a mime class to prepare for her part. Because her character has so few lines, she had to learn to communicate through facial expressions and body gestures. I thought that one was weird because, she's pretty bad even with no lines. She's just there.
Yeah, like I didn't even think she did great as far as the Terminator isms.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's considering everybody is horrible outside of Arnold. I'm assuming that's just a director thing. She's probably fine in like other things.
I mean, did you see Blood Rain?
No, I have no knowledge of this director, honestly.
Let's see. In the original script, during the scene in which John was sitting on a bridge in the beginning of the movie, he was actually thinking about suicide because his life has no meaning without Judgment Day. I thought that was just kind of a missed opportunity, Like that would have been interesting,
Would have been a short movie. So it was like 10 minutes in.
Yo, that what if that's how they introduced the Terminator? He jumped off the bridge and then Arnie caught him.
He just swings in like Spider-Man.
with the prevent Judgment Day, and he just like carries him off into the sunset.
It's like, no, you must live.
Let's see. After viewing initial dailies, the director Jonathan Mostow deemed Sophia Bush too young to play hero John Connor's love interest and replaced her with Claire Danes. At the last minute, replaced her with Claims at the last minute. Danes started filming immediately and basically learned about her character on the job. Danes later said this may have helped her performance, as Kate Brewster's character was similarly thrust into a strange new reality with no warning. I don't know about that. I don't think it helped.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think that helped either.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Particularly unhelpful.
Yeah. Let's see.
This
Linda
is the
Hamilton.
good trivia.
Yeah, this is not much, but this is my last one. Let's see. Linda Hamilton was first approached to reprise her role as Sarah Connor, but she turned it down. In a 2009 interview with MTV, Hamilton revealed that she found the part too insignificant since her character died halfway through the screenplay and there was no time to mourn her. She was written out of the film with a line of dialogue by John Connor explaining that Sarah died of leukemia in 1997. So yeah, she could have been at least half of the movie.
Well, she did
would've been
leave
good.
him a shitload of weaponry. Actually, that was my trivia. Did you know you can put it in your will to leave your coffin full of RPGs, bazookas, Uzis, machine guns, and everything?
And also her casket was
we learned
bulletproof.
that.
Her casket was
That's
bulletproof.
it. Yeah, that was like
John
a fucking Kevlar vest of a vault, man.
Yeah, John hides in the casket later, and the people are shooting at it, and he's fine. But anywho, yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Same.
All right, do you guys want to find out
next
what
week?
we're? Yeah, let's spin the wheel. Let's let fate decide.
This is gonna be a dark fate.
Sorry, I didn't actually spin it. My phone fucked up. It was giving me a notification.
Oh my god!
Here we go. Don't you guys love this sound? All right, this is a
What
weird
is
one. Next time on B-Roll Boys, join us as we discuss The Cat in the Hat, starring Mike Myers.
God damn it. Man, you're gonna make me watch this shit.
Holy fuck, man!
Yeah.
Okay.
God
All
damn
right,
it.
I'm down. I'm in
Fuck.
this. I signed a contract. I can't get away.
It'll be fun.
I'm gonna strategically get sick. So I can avoid this. So we can
months.
tap in for me.
All right. See you next time on B-Roll Boys.
See you next
For
week.
Cat in the Hat. See ya.
Bye.
You're trash, bro.
I need a second, okay? Why can't anybody give me a goddamn second?
Hold on. You dig on multiverses?
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Cover my eyes!
That's it. What, we some kind of
B-roll boys.